हेलो फ्रेंड्स, आज हम आपको बताने जा रहे हैं IATF 16949 और TS 16949 इनमें क्या डिफरेंस है और व्हाट इज द वे टू इम्प्लीमेंट दिस स्टैंडर्ड. So as you can see on the screen, earlier in TS 16949 there were 8 clauses, and current version which is IATF 16949 there are 10 clauses. If you see, top 3 clauses remain same in both the standards, which is scope, normative reference, and terms and definition. The change starts from clause number 4. Earlier it was quality management system, and now it is context of the organization. What is context of the organization? I will let you know in further slides. Now we come to clause number 5, which was management responsibility, and in current version it is leadership. Clause number 6, earlier it was resource management, and now it is planning. Clause number 7, earlier it was product realization, and now it is support. Clause number 8, which was measurement, analysis, and improvement, and now in this version it is operation. Clause number 9 and 10 were not there in earlier version, but now we have 10 clauses as I mentioned earlier. 9 clause number is performance evaluation, and clause number 10 is improvement. So this is the main difference in the clause structure. Now there are 6 steps to implement any of the standards. First one is, before implementing any standard, before implementing this standard, you should familiarize yourself with ISO 9001 2015 and IATF 16949 2016, because IATF 16949 is based fully on ISO 9001. Means if we go for implementation of IATF 16949, it means ISO 9001 is to be implemented, because ISO 9001 is a part of IATF 16949. Then after being familiarizing, you should perform a gap analysis against both standards. When you have gone through the requirements of the standard, then you should do the gap analysis to know that what are the gaps in your current activities and the requirements of both these standards. Then you have, based on the gaps, then you have to develop an implementation plan. Then by when you will be implementing, what will be the steps of the implementation. So you will have to develop your implementation plan. Then you have to provide the training for all relevant individuals, because in this standards all the departments are included. So you have to provide the departmental training specific to the requirement of their own function. You have to provide the training. Then you have to update your existing system. Means all the documentation work you have to update as per the requirement of both these standards. Finally, you have to provide evidence that your organization has met the new requirement. For this, what is the way to do it? For this, you have to do internal audit, and in internal audit, each function has to provide evidence for the particular requirement of the standard. Then, as you know, all the standards are based on PDCA cycle. So this standard IATF 16949 is also based on the approach plan, do, PDCA cycle. Now in this figure you can see how the PDCA cycle is in the context of clauses. How can you say that which clauses are related to P cycle, which clauses are related to do cycle, which clauses are related to C cycle, and which clauses are related to D cycle, PDCA X cycle. So first one you can see in the figure, clause number 4. Clause number 4 is context of the organization, which is in the outer part of the circle. Means for all this PDCA cycle, for implementing all these clauses, this is the requirement to identify the organization and its context. Then you can see clause number 5 is in the center of the PDCA cycle. Means for all the steps, for all the classes, leadership plays a vital role, and it is related to the each and every clause. So we have discussed 4 and 5. Now we come to the clause number 6, which is planning, and this is the P phase of PDCA cycle. PDCA cycle starts from clause number 6. You can see clause number 6 is the planning, and it is the P phase of PDCA cycle. You can see clause number 7 and 8, support and operation, are related to this do phase. Means implementation work, means operation work and support function. Like what are the support function? Like HR, maintenance, these are the support function. And clause number 7 covers all the support function, and clause number 8 covers the operation phase. So this is the do phase, of this cycle. And clause number 7 and 8 are the part of do cycle. Now we come to the check cycle. Check cycle clause number 9 is related to C phase, which is check, performance evaluation. What is performance evaluation? First of all, we have done the planning, and as per planning, we have implemented, we have made the operation based on clause number 7 and 8. Now, what are the gaps? What is the evaluation of the performance? We have to measure the evaluation of the performance in the clause number 9 through the internal audits, through the review meetings, performance review meetings. This covers under clause number 9, the check phase of the PDCA cycle. Now we come to the last 10 clause of IATF, which is improvement, means the gaps which we have find out in the phase number, in the clause number 9, we have to take action for further improvement. And again, we have to act, and then again we have to plan, then do, then check and act. This cycle never stop, it is continuous cycle. You can see. Next. PDCA, you all know, this is a tool that can be used to manage processes and system. P means planning, plan, D for do, C for check, and A for act. It is clear, and PDCA operates as a cycle of continual improvement. It never stops because improvement never stops. So this cycle operates as a cycle of continual improvement, and with risk-based thinking at each stage. At each stage, we should approach risk-based thinking. We should adopt the approach of risk-based thinking. You can see the clause-wise segregation of PDCA cycle. As I mentioned, clause number 4, 5 and 6, which is clause number 4 is context of the organization, clause number 5 is leadership, and clause number 6 is planning. So these 4 clauses are the P phase, means plan phase of the PDCA cycle. Clause number 7 and 8, as I mentioned earlier, clause number 7 support and clause number 8 operation are D part, means do phase of PDCA cycle. Clause number 9 and 10 are C phase of this PDCA cycle, means performance evaluation. And clause number 10, which is improvement and act phase of the PDCA cycle, is the last part of PDCA cycle, means A phase. And now I am going to tell you about the brief about the sub clauses of this standard. Clause number, as I mentioned earlier, the actual requirements starts from clause number 4. So what is clause number 4? Context of the organization. In this there are sub clauses, 4 sub clauses are there. 4.1 is understanding the organization and its context. So before implementing any standard, before implementing this standard, you should understand what you should understand about your organization. Because if you will not be aware about your organization, your activities, your processes, your product, then you can't go for better implementation. So clause number 4 says that first of all you understand about your organization and its context. Context means संदर्भ, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से रिलेटेड जो भी चीजें हैं उन सबको आपको समझना है. देन इंटरनल इश्यूज आपको ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के समझने हैं. सो दिस इज होल अबाउट द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द organization and its context. Means what are the activities of the organization, what are the processes of the organization, what are the product of the organization, and what are the issues. What are the issues in the organization? So to find out the issues of the organization, you should study individual departments, that what are the gaps, what are the issues, and issues can be positive or negative issues. So you should understand the positive and negative issues of the organization. 4.2 is understanding the needs and expectation of interested parties. Now you should know what are interested parties. Any external party which is relevant to the purpose of the organization. Any party. I am going to tell you the example, like supplier, like customer, like legal bodies, like service provider, like shareholders, investors, calibration agencies, testing labs. So these are the interested parties. So in this clause, what we have to do, you should first of all you should know what are the interested parties related to my organization. Then you have to understand the need and expectation. Need and expectation of the interested parties. And there is a difference between the need and expectation. Need means compulsory. Need means compulsory requirement, and expectation means more than the need, which is not the need, but they expect from you. So there is a difference between the need and expectation. First of all, you should identify the interested parties of the organization. Then you should identify the need and expectation of those interested parties. The next subclause under this clause number 4 is determining the scope of the QMS. Now you have to define the scope of your quality management system. And what is the scope? Means what product, what processes you are going to cover under this standard. So scope is one-liner, like manufacturing of rivet, like design and manufacturing of steering wheel. So these are the wheels. These are the means scope. That on what product and what process you are going to implement this standard. You have to define under clause number 4.3. Now clause number 4.4 is QMS and its processes. Now in this clause you will have to define quality management system and processes, all the processes which are to be covered under this, and how you can do it. You can do it by help of process interaction matrix, by process turtles, by CPOP diagram, by PDCA cycle. You can do it. Fine. Now we come to clause number 5, which is leadership. What do you mean by leadership? Leadership is the topmost authority in the plant is authorized to take decision. Leadership. So under leadership clause, subclause is 5.1, leadership and commitment. For implementation of any standard, the commitment is required, and this commitment comes from the top management in the form of policy. So you can see clause number 5.2 is quality policy. And who writes this policy? The top management of the organization. The topmost authority who has the power to take the decision has to make the commitment to implement this standard in the terms of policy, which is 5.2 quality policy. Now we come to 5.3. This clause number 5 is totally related to leadership. All the requirement mentioned in this clause has to be fulfilled, has to be taken care by the top management of the organization. Now clause number 5.3 is organization roles, responsibilities and authorities. The top management has to decide the roles, responsibility and authority of each individual, so that the activities needs to be carried out by particular individual person has to be made clear. So this is related to the finalization of roles in the form of organization chart, and all the individual JD means job description in terms of roles, responsibilities and authorities. So now we come to the clause number 6, which is the planning of the QMS. In this there are again 3 subclauses. 6.1 is actions to address risk and opportunity. 6.2 is quality, objective and planning to achieve them. And clause number 6.3 is planning of changes. Here you can see in clause 6.1 is related to clause 4.1, 4.2, means the issues, the positive and negative issues, the organization and its context which you have identified in 4.1, you have to take the action from the risk, from the issues. So this 6.1 is the next step of clause number 4.1. Means you have identified the issues in 4.1, and in 6.1 you have to take the action against identified issues. 6.2 is quality objective, means KPI. Here we have to define the KPIs of each individual department, and we have to plan in advance that how to achieve, because it is easy to define the objective, but how will these objectives will be defined, by when these will be completed, how these will be completed, who will do this, whole planning will be done in clause number 6.2 after defining the quality objective, which we call planning to achieve quality objective. 6.3 is planning for change. Any change which you want to carry out, you have to plan in advance. That's why it is included in clause number 6.3. Now we come to the do phase, and as I mentioned earlier, there are 2 clauses in this phase. Clause number 7 is support, clause number 8 is operation. Under clause number 7 support, there are 5 subclauses. 7.1 is resources. Resources to implement this standard, means we have to identify the requirement of the resources, and if some resources are not available, we have to raise concern to the concern. Clause number 7.2 is related to competence. Competence is required for implementation of this standard. This clause is related to the training and under HR function. We have to provide the competence to an individual person. Training is required. For this, first of all, skill matrix is prepared. Based on skill matrix, TNI is calculated, means training need identification is done. Based on training need identification, training plan is prepared. Based on the plan, training is done, And after training, effectiveness is measured. So you can see in training clause also, it also works under PDCA cycle, means plan for training, then conduct the training, then find out the gaps of the training, means the gaps of that training, and to fill those gaps, again provide the training. So this is the act phase. So PDCA cycle is also related to this training clause. 7.3 is awareness, means for all the new terms like policy, objective, implication of the standard, and your role about the standard. Everyone should know in the organization about the policy, about the objective, about the implication of these requirements. So this covers under the clause 7.3, which is awareness. Clause number 7.4 is communication, means for effective implementation of standards, you have to communicate. You have to prepare the communication matrix, that what we have to communicate, how we will communicate, at what frequency we will communicate, and whom we will communicate. So this will cover under clause number 7.4, and the communication matrix will be made against the requirement of this clause. 7.5 is documented information. What is documented information? All the documents and records required by this standard should be created, updated, controlled, and circulated in controlled way in the organization. So this is the document and record control clause, which was earlier as a record of documents and record of control of records. Now clause number 8, which is operation. 8.1, you can see operation, planning and control, PPC. All the operations should be planned and control should be exercised. Clause number 8.2 is related to the determination of requirement for product and services. So this clause is related to the sales and marketing. They people have to identify, have to determine the requirement of the product and services from the customer and act accordingly. After 8.2, 8.3 is design and development of product and services, which is related to the R&D department, D&D department, design and development, that how you will design and develop your product. There are again 6 sub-clauses. So these in detail we will let you know in next session. But here I'm going to give you the idea about that, what are the sub-clauses and by which department these are related. Clause number 8.4 is related to the purchase department, means control of externally provided product. Externally provided means purchased product, means the product bought out from the external parties, product or services taken from the external parties. So who is the external party? Vendor or service provider in this case. So this 8.4 clause is related to the purchase. 8.5, this is production and service provision. In this clause, all the production activities are covered. All the production activities like starting of the production, first piece approval, all means in process inspection, all the clause requirement are covered in this sub clause. 8.6 is release of product and services. And you know, release is done by which department? Of course, this is quality department. So 8.6 is related to the release of the product and services, means the clearance from the quality, release from the quality. So this 8.6 clause is related to the quality. Now we come to 8.7. 8.7 is control of non-conforming products and process. What is non-conforming? Non-conforming means which is not as per the requirement, not conforming to the requirement of the customer. That will be called non-conforming. So non-conforming, how you have to control the non-conformities in the product and process. So this clause will cover the function production and quality control, because both these departments need to control the non-conforming product. Means how you have to act in case you find the non-conforming product. How will you segregate it, how you will identify it, and how will you to take action to dispose the non-conforming product. Now we come to the check phase in clause number 9 of the IATF 16949, which is performance evaluation and check phase of PDCA cycle. Now we have done the operation. Now in clause 9.1 you can see monitoring, measurement, analysis and evaluation. So what we have done under D phase or under 8 clause, we have to analyze, we have to monitor, measure, analyze and evaluate that have we performed the operation as per the requirement. If not, we have to find out the gaps under clause 9.1. In 9.2 internal audit, this phase is also related to the finding the gaps. We have implemented the standard, then we are conducting the internal audit, and what we do in the internal audit, we find out the gaps. in the actual scenario and in the requirement mentioned in the standard. So in 9.2 internal audit, we find out the gaps. 9.3 is management review. Management review meetings are conducted, MRM are conducted for find out that what KPIs and what level we have achieved, what are the, actually there is a specific agenda of 8 to 9 points in this MRM, and we have to consider all the agendas given in the standard. Then we come to the last clause of improvement of IATF standard, which is clause number 10, improvement, and the last phase of PDCA cycle act. So we have done, we have checked, now we have to take action for further improvement. So same is told by this clause number 10 that what gaps we have identified, we have to prepare the action plan for further improvement, and this is called continual improvement. So this here, this ends at clause number 10. So you have seen that how these clauses and sub clauses are connected to the PDCA cycle. On a single slide you can see and you can find the comparison between the previous version, which was TS 1694. Thank you very much for your listening. Thank you very much for your patience. If you have any query, you can write us by WhatsApp, by text message. Thank you, thanks a lot.